In the 1990s, Nickelodeon became a major player in TV by creating some of the most beloved cartoons that broke the mold of typical kids shows. They were known as Nicktoons. Beginning in August of 1991, Nickelodeon introduced us to its first three Nicktoons: Rugrats, Doug, and Ren and Stimpy. These shows were an instant success, which 2 years later would see the premiere of one of my all-time favourite shows, which was one of its most popular and lasting series. And that show, of course, was Rocko's Modern Life. The show debuted on September 18th, 1993, and was created by Joe Murray. The show stood out for its risky adult humour and its clever social commentary. It ran for 4 seasons until November 24th, 1996, and is still remembered for pushing the boundaries of what a kid's cartoon could be, and especially with its memorable characters. The show follows Rocko, who is a calm and kind wallaby, who moves from Australia to the strange American city of Town. He deals with the everyday struggles of adult life. He deals with his neighbours, his oddball friends, and a huge company called Conglomerate, and just the weirdness of everyday suburban life. Though the show is full of jokes and colourful animation, it also explores deeper themes about society and culture. Rocko was first created by Joe Murray, an animator from San Jose, in a 1989 comic strip called Travis. The comic focused on a sensitive character trying to stay sane in the crazy world. And of course, this idea grew into Rocko's Modern Life. Now, inspired by Murray's thoughts on consumerism, city life, and the odd nature of the modern world, Murray felt that most cartoons at the time lacked any deeper meaning. So when Nickelodeon offered him a chance to make a pilot, he saw it as a way to create something smart and funny. The pilot episode, Trash Your Madness, though it's a little bit rough around the edges, it's still full of energy and that Rocko's Modern Life charm that we all grew to love. Nickelodeon saw its potential and approved a full series. Now, originally, A Sucker for the Sucker-matic was going to be the pilot, but Nickelodeon decided that having Heffer in the episode would not do very well with focus groups, which I don't see how. Heffer's like one of the best bits of the show. Joe Murray animated half of the pilot by himself, and after that, he had help animating the second half by the rest of his creative team. Originally, the plot was only 7 minutes long, but additional animation was added to fill 11 minutes. Rocko seemed to be an instant success, but making the show wasn't easy. Murray faced personal loss and the stress of running a big production in 1992. 2 months prior to the production of season 1 of Rocko's Modern Life, Murray's first wife Diane took her own life. Murray had blamed the show being taken as the reason for his wife's death. And during this time, Murray felt that he had emotional and physical unresolved issues. So eventually he stepped back from daily work on the show. However, his creative vision stayed strong throughout the series, with the help of other creators such as Stephen Hillenberg. He made that small show, I don't know if you know who he is. From the start, Rocko's Modern Life aimed to be more than just a kid's cartoon. It didn't treat its audience like they couldn't handle big ideas. Instead, it showed the world that was confusing, unfair and strange, which is exactly like adult life. This bold approach was something unusual at the time, but it helped open the doors for more riskier shows like Invader Zim, SpongeBob and even BoJack Horseman. Town, the fictional city where the show takes place, was more than just a setting, it was part of the story. Town was based on cities such as Los Angeles, San Jose and Chicago. Town was a messy mix of crowded buildings, pollution and non-stop advertising. Kinda reminds me of that Roddy Piper movie, They Live. I'd recommend that if you haven't seen that, by the way. And at the centre of it all was Conglomerate, a giant company that seemed to control everything. That doesn't happen in real life. From jobs to media to the food, the show used this setting to poke fun at big corporations and the way that they affect everyday life, which definitely reflected real concerns from the 1990s about consumer culture and just the loss of everyone's individuality. The season 1 episode, Power Trip, is a perfect example of the businessmen that Rocko mocks. In the episode, Rocko becomes a boss, and suddenly turns power hungry as his position goes straight to his head. The animation style was just as bold as the writing. It was influenced by, of course, old cartoons and underground comics. The visuals were wild and unpredictable. Backgrounds were often twisted, the faces melted during stressful moments or just very exaggerated facial expressions, which is hilarious. The weird exaggerated look helped emphasise how unstable and strange the world of Town really was. Many of the people who worked on the show went to become big names in animation, like I mentioned Steven Hillenberg worked on this show, as well as Dan Pervenmeyer and Jeff Swampy Marsh, who went on to create Phineas and Ferb. Their unique style helped shape the show, blending wacky humour with surprisingly real emotions. The production of the show was described as very loose, as Murray would often take his team members on writing trips to come up with story premises, preferring concepts that broke new ground. That must be great, you go to work in the writer's room and then you just get to go to a trip to the zoo or something, like that's awesome! One thing I love about Rocko's Modern Life is the soundtrack. The soundtrack was composed by Pat Erwin, and it also played a pivotal role in the setting of the turn. The music, I guess you could say, is like surf rock, jazz lounge with like a baseball organ. It's so unique. The music was completely all over the place and unpredictable, which perfectly mirrored the emotional turn of the narrative. Now, the later seasons of the show featured a new intro theme song, which was performed by the band The B-52s, which I feel so dumb that I only just found that out. I always thought the vocals sounded like Love Shack. Obviously, it's the same band. Rocko's Modern Life was about trying to make sense of a world that doesn't make sense. Whether Rocko was fighting a wild vacuum cleaner, or stuck in a line at the DMV, or dealing with just broken products from a nightmarish store, his problems reflected the weird and frustrating parts of life, and kind of introduced what was going to happen to the kids. Kind of foreshadowing there that your life's gonna suck. For kids, it was just a silly cartoon full of slapstick and funny voices, but for adults, it was sharp and sometimes an unsettling look at how crazy modern life could be. While Earthtown set the bizarre scene, of course it was the characters who made the show come alive. Each one stood for something deeper. Each one of them had their own anxiety, bad habits, and felt social pressure. And Rocko was at the centre of all of this. He was surrounded by a wild cast of friends and neighbours, each showing a different side of life of the 1990s. I want to talk about some of the characters now because I feel like the characters really do make this show. Of course, there's the main character himself, Rocko. Rocko is the calm centre in the chaotic world. He's a soft-spoken kind wallaby from Australia who just wants a peaceful life. But Rocko always seems to be a magnet for trouble. Murray developed the Rocko character after a visit to the Bay Area Zoo, where he came across a wallaby who seemed to be just oblivious to the chaos around him. Whether he's stuck in a boring job at Conglomerate or he's dealing with his neighbour Ed Bighead, Rocko faces the same stress and confusion that many adults do. Unlike many cartoon heroes, Rocko doesn't try and take control, he just tries to survive. He's thoughtful and caring, which makes him stand out in a world full of loud, selfish characters. His house is meant to be the safe space, but even there, life throws ridiculous problems at him, such as his broken appliances or his crippling debt. What makes Rocko so special is his caring nature. In one episode, No Pain No Gain, he joins the gym with Heffer, but when he gets there he finds out that it's just full of impossible body standards and harsh workout culture. Even when Rocko is allowed to remain in the gym, he refuses when Heffer isn't allowed to continue his membership, which goes to show that when even things get tough, Rocko definitely stands up for Heffer and he knows what's right and what's wrong. This shows that he struggles to stay kind and sane in the world that often rewards the complete opposite. And of course there's Heffer Wolf. Rocko is definitely the heart of the show, but the show would not be the same without Heffer. Heffer is a chubby, greedy, go-lucky steer who's raised by a family of wolves, which is a funny idea that also hints at the deeper themes like identity and family, especially in the episode Who's for Dinner, when Rocko accidentally makes Heffer's parents reveal the truth that Heffer is actually adopted. Heffer goes on a search for his real parents. He finds out that sometimes family isn't blood, but the ones who love you for who you are. Heffer loves food, TV, and doing as little as possible. He's funny but often careless. Heffer never really seems to want to cause trouble, but his selfishness sometimes gets others' hair, especially in the episode Jet Scream. His behaviour causes Rocko to be mistreated and forced to sit in coach, whilst Heffer enjoys first class, which he didn't pay for. Still, he shows surprising emotion in the episode Love Spanked, after Heffer causes Rocko a lot of embarrassment sharing his secret love for his neighbour Melba. Rocko angrily talks to Heffer, which upsets him, causing Rocko to apologise to his friend. This shows despite his antics, Heffer truly cares about his friendship with Rocko. Though Heffer seems clueless, he is deeply loyal to Rocko, Beneath the laziness is a true friend that always sticks by Rocko's side despite the shenanigans they get into. And speaking of Rocko's friends, there's also Filbert the Tell. Now, Filbert is the complete opposite. He is all about anxiety. He's nervous, he's often negative, and he's always stressed out. He is a huge hypochondriac. He's obsessed with cleanliness and quick to panic. His famous line of "I'm nauseous" sums up both his personality and how he deals with his life. In the episode Born to Spawn, Filbert faces his fears when he has to return to his birthplace to complete a strange family tradition to become an adult. It's a clever way of showing how people deal with their roots and expectations. Over time, Filbert grows more than any other character. He gets married to Dr. Hutchinson and has kids, and starts facing the ups and downs of family life. But one thing that Filbert does is that he shows that it's okay to struggle with mental health. He doesn't magically fix his problems, he learns to live with them. His relationship with Hutchinson is definitely one of the healthiest couples shown in a 1990s cartoon. She's there for Filbert even when things get really bad. But on the opposite end, we have Rocko's neighbour, Ed Bighead. Like I said, Ed Bighead is Rocko's grumpy neighbour, who works at Conglomerate Corporation. He's always mad, whether it be at his job, his wife, his life, and even at Rocko. Ed stands for frustration with work routine and just feeling stuck in his life. But Ed isn't just a villain. In I Have No Son, we see that his anger actually comes from pain. His son Ralph became a cartoonist instead of following in his corporate footsteps. This family riff shows Ed's struggle with regret and the loss of his dreams. Their relationship reminds me a lot of Hank and Bobby Hill, as Hank struggles to accept Bobby is a different generation, therefore having different goals and perspective on his life, which is definitely something I've experienced with my own relatives over the years. Ed and Rocko often clash, but their conflicts reflect something deeper. It's definitely the old versus new, rigid versus the open-minded. Ed is what happens when you follow the rules and still feel completely empty. Ed doesn't live alone, he is married to his wife, Bev. Now Bev is full of contradictions. She looks like a typical bored housewife, but she's also curious, bold, and very unhappy. In the episode Leapfrogs, she even tries to seduce Rocko, a moment that really shocked viewers back in the day, but the episode is just insanely funny and just full of innuendos. One thing that I really like about Bev is that she often pushes back against Ed's strict way. She wants more from life and often tries new things, like taking art classes or getting involved in causes. She represents people stuck in roles that they didn't choose and they're trying to break free from. Bev is both a joke and a symbol of personal freedom. Whether Ed is being grumpy or angry, you can count on Bev usually having the opposite mindset. And of course their son, Ralph/Rachel Bighead. Ralph Bighead starts off as Ed's distant son, known for creating the cartoon The Fatheads. In I Have No Son, we learn that Ralph chose creativity over business, which caused a huge rift with Ed. The story reflects how some parents reject children who don't follow traditional paths or express themselves in completely different ways. In Wacky Deli, we see that nearly 900 episodes of The Fatheads is being created, a show that is loved by many in O-Town, and Ralph has completely no excitement about his creation, wishing to do something different, something he can be proud of, but ends up giving in to what the higher-ups want and make the show. I have struggled with this myself. My old YouTube channel The Night Butterfly was a constant algorithm chase, which crushed my passion for content creation, despite many people enjoying my creations. I just felt like they lacked any creativity or meaning and was just throwaway entertainment. In the 2019 special Static Cling on Netflix, which I 100% recommend, it is fantastic, Ralph comes back as Rachel, having transitioned since the original show. The story handles Rachel's identity with care and honesty. At first people are confused, but they learn to accept her. Rocko wants to revive the Fatheads out of nostalgia, while Rachel's new life shows how people and stories must grow and change over time. The special was praised for showing real acceptance and making history in kids animation. Rocko's Modern Life is also full of crazy background characters, such as Really Big Man, a bizarre superhero with weird powers like nipples of the future, yep, that's a real thing, to Peaches, who's the overly polite demon from Heck. The show's background characters are more than just odd, they are sharp symbols of the real world issues. There's also Mr. Smitty, Rocko's grumpy boss who represents workplace abuse, and the Chameleon Brothers, who are two slimy art snobs who mock fake sophistication. Each character may only appear briefly, but they highlight major themes. They show how in Earthtown, even minor characters carry big messages. The beauty of Rocko's Modern Life is that its characters aren't there just for laughs. They reflect the weirdness and occasional herp of adult life. Rocko and his friends aren't superheroes. They're people just trying to survive the system that often doesn't make sense. Each character, from Filbert to Rachel Bighead, give voice to something real. Through them, the show asks people, how do you stay kind in a world that rewards cruelty? How do you find meaning in the madness? While the characters ground the show, the episodes are where the satire really shines. Each one acts like a mini moral tale, poking fun at the flaws of modern life. Here are some of my favourite and most memorable episodes that I enjoy a lot. Season 2, Episode 1, Carnival Knowledge. This episode, Rocko and Heffer go to the carnival expecting fun. Instead, the fairground is nothing but a scam, just trying to make a quick buck. Every single ride at this is a scam disguised as fun. I'm looking at you, arcade claw machines. Season 1, Episode 5, Canned. In this episode, Rocko lands a job working for Ed Bighead at Conglomerate. This episode is just Ed Bighead and the company treating people as numbers and replaceable guinea pigs for dangerous products that need to be tested before they can be sold for profit. Conglomerate often refers to its employees as numbers, not even knowing what their name is. Season 1, Episode 9, To Heck and Back is also really good. Heffer actually chokes on his food and ends up in heck, which is just a complete parody of hell, obviously. The demon Peaches doesn't torture him, he files paperwork, and it's a hilarious jab at how some religious systems focus more on rules than compassion. Season 1, Episode 6, Who Gives a Buck, is also very important. Rocko gets a credit card and goes wild. What could go wrong? Pretty much nothing, until the bills come in. The card is shown as like a whispering villain, like the Green Goblin mask. It leads him into debt and stress. The episode hits hard with its messages, the promise of easy money often leading to long-term struggle, especially in a world where banks offer absolutely no sympathy. Rocko's Modern Life was never just about a wallaby and his weird neighbours. It was about living in this confusing, often unfair world, and finding humour in it anyway. Through its wild visuals, smart writing, and obviously the characters, it turned the chaos of modern life into something that we could laugh at, and maybe understand it just a little bit better. The show's relevance has only deepened with time. Rocko's Modern Life has transcended nostalgia to become a touchstone for a critical reflection. It's a piece of pop culture that encouraged viewers to question the system around them long before they had the language to articulate such critic views. Perhaps Rocko's greatest legacy is how sneaky it was. It was disguised as a wacky cartoon about a wallaby and his friends, but it delivered a sharp cultural commentary with an almost surgical precision. It was never dictative or moralizing, instead it just used absurdism as a lens to examine capitalism, alienation and identity. Today you can see Rocko's fingerprints all over animated series that bridge the gap between humour and heaviness. Like I said at the beginning of the video, BoJack Horseman is definitely an influence, I believe. It explores mental illness and fame with a similar tonal whiplash, shifting from slapstick to existential despair. And even shows like Steven Universe and Adventure Time adopt Rocko's fusion of emotional depth with surreal storytelling, showing that cartoons can be compassionate and weird all at once. Creators who grew up watching Rocko now helm their own shows, bringing with them a sensibility forged by the show's blend of chaos and commentary. In the media landscape, which is just saturated with distraction, Rocko's Modern Life stands out for asking its viewers to look closer, not just at the screen, but at themselves and their world. The themes it explored in the 1990s, such as corporate overreach and the loneliness of modern life, feel more relevant in the 2020s. This isn't because the show was ahead of its time, it's because the show tapped into something timeless, the feeling of being lost in a world designed for someone else. Rocko's Modern Life dared to turn discomfort into comedy. It was a joke with a purpose. A chaotic howl that echoed the dissonance of modern existence. Whether you watched it as a child or revisited it as an adult, or studied it in an academic context like yours truly, the show offered a layered experience that invited both laughter and reflection. It didn't just entertain, it challenged. It didn't just satirize, it sympathized. And in doing so, it helped shape a generation of storytellers and viewers who learned to see the humour in struggle and the truth in the surreal. Rocko's Modern Life is a huge reason as to why I'm such a fan of animation these days. When I discovered this show, I just became obsessed. It was my comfort show, and it kinda still is. I watched the entire series last year from start to finish, and I enjoyed it just as much as when I watched it when I was younger. Like, I even want to do it again after watching this video because the series is just that damn good. If you have a favourite Rocko episode, let me know down in the comments below. But that is the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I want to say thank you for 200 subscribers and 10,000 views on the Cartoon Network video. That's currently where I stand as of recording, but thank you so much for that. I did not expect that video to blow up like that, and it genuinely means so much that a lot of you guys actually resonated a lot with what was going on in that video, and I like how the comment section just became a nostalgia zone. We reflected on shows that we liked growing up. It was just awesome, thank you. So that's it for today, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.